Cool. Episode 13, Blue Oolong. We have two new people who have been watching the other recorded videos of the playtests might recognize Ed from the cleaner crew, right? Yeah. I'm running 3 of these games, so it all gets jumbly. Where they took out there's these giant ships that in this far future that is slightly dystopic, there are climate changes affecting the world, and so the glaciers from each pole are breaking off and stuff like that, and porters use heavy lift ships to harpoon glaciers and bring it back to the city for drinking water. And Ed's character, Apoc, who is an Edge, was part of a crew that decided it would be a good idea to take out all of the people on one of those ships, steal the ship as well as a glacier, and kind of like made off with some hella money. Cool. Agatha is new to Blades of the Dark and Hack the Planet. And do you want to introduce your character so far, anyway?
Yes. Let's see. Whistler is the handle. Her name is Riker Silva. She is a lens, and so I'm assuming she has big guns. I haven't figured out that part of her character yet, but I'm envisioning her as a mercenary of sorts. She maybe worked as like a protective, like a mercenary for hire for other crews before, and things went down in that crew. Maybe or things went down in her last mission, where she's not super hireable anymore, or that's her reputation in those circles. So she's kind of like seeking new employment, basically.
Cool.
Hopefully with people who didn't know of what happened.
Right. Cool. Not super hireable. I like that. Okay. And do you want to introduce your character real quick too?
Yeah, sure. So Apoc, as you mentioned, he had his first score with the Cleaners recently, but his background is previously a Sentinel agent for safety who defected over and joined the Roots community. He's an Edge, just focusing on sort of physical skills. It's kind of a nice way of putting it. He's just sort of getting by, bartering physical labor for food and shelter, and that might be the sort of entry point for meeting this crew, the Blue Solace.
Cool. Yeah, now that you're part of the crew, you all have blue hands. It is known. Cool. Okay, so before I like to run a session of this, I like to do wishes first to see what everybody wants to see out of the fiction, and then we'll drive towards that. So whatever people are hoping to see, whether it's like a particular type of score, like you just want to kill some people, or you want to see something particular about the setting, stuff like that, you can let me know. Patrick, why don't we start with you? Do you have a wish for this?
I don't know. We've done a lot with the crew and talking about outside the walls, and we did that whole storm montage last time. I wouldn't mind seeing more of the sort of weirdness of the interior of Shelter 1 and the way the different society levels work together.
Cool. Okay. Lauren?
I just want to like embrace all of these new people into our crew and like have them shine a bit. I feel like if we've got like an Edge that's quite violent and a lens that's into tracking and a Quirk that's into like investigating and technology, it's going to be like a more violent potentially score we're doing, which I'm super on board with. So like I'm cool if we just like fuck stuff up and have a cool like finale where we just do whatever we want to do. I just want everyone to look cool. That's my wish.
Cool. Ed?
I think I'm with Patrick. It's interesting. Last session we were in the Rust. I think that's where we were at, and so I haven't had a chance to see anything inside of Shelter One. So it'd be neat to kind of explore that. That would be cool.
Okay. And Agatha, anything you want to particularly see?
So I would super want to be able to shoot things as the lens, I suppose. Creep up and do things like that. But also, yeah, I just adding to what the other people have been saying, I'm really fascinated with this mega city, and it would be super cool to kind of come up against the machine, or I guess the corporations. Just in this session and see what that's like, that dynamic.
Cool. Yeah. So yeah, you're like a tracker shooting from distance type person, and APOC is like a fuck up lots of people with knives, or as Ed likes to say, really good at physical skills or something. Is that what you said? So yeah, we can definitely lean towards that. How about, let's see, I'll tell you about some of the factions, and then if you have an idea about wanting to see one of those in particular, then we can kind of set up a mission around that. So there are tracers. Tracers are, think of them as like Blade Runners. They are equal parts investigators as well as like authority people, right? Like they are PIs licensed with corporations, and they particularly look for people that are tippers. Tippers are people that contributed to climate change in the past and are sort of like ostracized and most likely to be the people in the jail of this setting because people are pissed. And auditors are purely investigative members of like the authority for safety. Porters, Ed knows all about the porters already. Porters are the people that hook glaciers, bring them back. Manufactured Life is a faction that rose up from the city because they developed screen, which is the stuff that people use to stay out in the sun when it's far too hot for them. Constructed Chaos. I think this crew killed them all, so they're all gone. They eradicated that. This crew already has a quarrel with the people called the Mirrored, which think of them as citizens who are generally non-violent but protesting the things that the corporations do. And they're called the Mirrored because they wear robes and literally have like these mirrored masks on of various different colors, and recently have been getting more and more militant. This crew in particular has already seized territory from them, and it's now a vice den. So they've been pissing people off. Sentinels are the police force of the setting. The Split Peas are a consortium of gene hackers and engineers / farmers who escaped from Nourish. They were previously made to work for the corporation, developing new ways of making like sustenance for the people in the city now that the land has changed a lot and all of that kind of stuff, and are now sort of like trying to radicalize and host an underground sort of farmers market in the city called the Green Mile, where they sell fruits and vegetables that isn't tagged with nanites from Nourish. And so Nourish is quite pissed with them. Carrion is a big group of mercenaries that are really scary and really high tier and take commissions for hire from everybody. The Red Leaves are a family of thieves turned antiquarians who operate a pawn shop and a front to collect data from an unknown patron. And they like sell that data. Croci Stigma are the people that you guys use to launch your like plan last time. Croci Stigma are horticulturists, the thing that I'm trying to say, and gardeners who have infiltrated high society and planted these like gene hacked flowers that transmit data. And those are the things that this crew used to launch a sort of like attack against Nourish's Fatma executive last time. Flickers are private investigators. They're called Flickers because they have like material wear that allows them to turn invisible sometimes, or at least that's like sort of an underground urban legend that they possess that. Cryptographers are people who it's the same as today. They're the people that they're like cryptologists and are sort of the main faction that are known for protecting and encrypting everything in this kind of setting. And the Coil are in this setting. There's something called Dippers, which, if you remember, I said that information controls all flow of information in the city. Dippers are hackers that do a specific thing. They set up like attachments to the flow of information outside of the corporation and dip into those lines, taking information and selling it or using it for their own purposes. And Stray Light, you have a relationship with already, which are people who can, they have technology to generate acts of God, and people pay them to make them. They also do other stuff, but that's sort of the gist of it. And those are the sort of main players in the city. Is there any faction that people want to see more of or target for a score or anything like that?
I kind of just want to fuck up with Nourish.
You guys really hate Nourish.
They're a big, like, they're a big mega co-op in the city, right? Like, of course we hate them. We hate all the mega co-ops.
Right. Okay. So after all that, you just want to take on a corporation. Okay.
That's my MO, but I'm open to everything else.
Sure. Does anyone else any interest piqued interest in anything?
I think that giant mercenary group that you mentioned is probably the group that I have beef with. But this is a personal matter, so it doesn't have to.
It doesn't have to intersect with the score?
No, it doesn't have to.
Okay. Well, I could easily think that... So the last thing that you guys did was expose Fatma. Like, basically one of you had garnered all of this blackmailed information on a whole bunch of stuff they shouldn't do, which made Nourish look bad, which made Fatma exit the city because they knew that Nourish was just going to send people after them and kill them. So their only hope was to like run out of the city, which was Silver's plan, to discredit, disgrace, and like have Fatma experience a fate worse than death. So I could totally picture something like Nourish, since they have lost faith, going and looking for the group that did this to Fatma, just on the peripheral, trying to keep it on the DL and like eradicate you all or something like that. And maybe they hired Carrion to do that, which would maybe give you opportunity to, give the finger to both Carrion and Nourish, something like that.
That sounds good. I dig it.
Okay. Sounds good. So before we shape what is happening in the fiction around that, is there a particular plan that is speaking to everyone here? So Agatha, if you look at the bottom of your lens sheet, there's gather information, teamwork, planning, and load. And below planning and load, there are 6 different kinds of plans that we use in the game to kind of stage an in media res scene where we're suddenly on the job and doing stuff. There's point of attack, assault, there's deception plan, there's a stealth plan, there's a transport plan, there's a social plan, and specialized tech for acts of God plan. So we can kind of build the fiction around what people want to do. Do people want to be stealthy and try to like take out these people? Or do they want to assault them and like just fuck them up and kill them directly head on? Or is there some sort of deception or deceiving happening first and then you know, kill them all or whatever?
I feel like frontal assault against a mercenary crew is probably not our best bet. We are drug dealers and tea shop owners.
That's true.
But something in the deception or stealth, I could see that. To be honest, we also have really good connections for act of God and weirdness there, and just like calling down some fucked up thing on people's heads.
Yeah, like I could see it would be interesting if you left some sort of hint or trace in your hack of Fatma and broadcasting it out that would lead people to a specific location where you would then ambush and take them out or something like that. That's pretty plausible, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So it could be like a deception thing, perhaps, that could be taking place.
I could see that.
Let's see.
Especially if Fault has like information on locations and places and stuff like that. That feels like you'd be able to feed in some misinformation about stuff.
Yeah, because deception is lure, trick, or manipulate, and then we provide the detail, the method of deception. And then from that, we can segue into any of the other plans, right? The deception can turn into an assault plan, or a deception could turn into a stealth plan. It's just the thing that we want to start with.
Yeah, we can set up Whistler, like, to sniper everyone and kill them all from a distance if things go bad. And then if that happens, we just, jump in and knife them.
Simple.
Just knife them. The good end to every plan.
Yeah. It's fine.
So we... it's a cyberpunk future, so everything I come up with involves hacking, but we're even worse at that now than we were before.
Yeah, that's true, because your hacker's gone. Also, you took 2 turf, so you're able to tier up, which might be a good idea. You have a lot of money, you have full rep, your stronghold, so you could go to tier 2. And if you want to take on Carrion, that might be a good idea. You have to pay 8 jewels or coin times your level, and so it'd be 9 coin, and you have lots of the monies.
Yeah, if only we had full vaults of stuff. I like being a higher tier.
Yeah, that sounds sensible.
Let's do that thing.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, so there you go. You still have like 5 coin in there, and now you're tier 2.
Oh, we're poor.
Yeah.
You're not,
little payday.
It's really not that bad. 5, like one coin in Blade's universe is like bushels of money, right? So you have like 5 bushels of money.
Wow.
Oh, well, when you say it like that.
Yeah, exactly. In this setting, Hack the Planet, money is jewels, because the primary technology source is sort of like the wind-up girl, where there's these intricately made sheaths of varying sizes, some that power weapons, some that power whole buildings. So it varies greatly. And then the people in prison, especially, their primary utility and purpose in the jail is to charge these things with kinetic energy. So they're like literally like wind-up machines and stuff like that charge the jewels, and that is what you use as currency in this game as well. So you have 5 bushels of jewels. But yeah, it's quite a bit actually.
We have so many batteries, just batteries forever.
And then tier-wise, you're tier 2 and Carrion is tier 4, so they're 2 like levels above you in the setting, which is not too bad actually. It's much better than being tier 1 against them. Yeah, okay. So like I was saying, I think it would be very plausible that you would have put in some sort of hook for Nourish to it's like the typical hacker thing, right? Where you like falsely or accidentally place some sort of trace into like who has done this, except that it was part of your plan all along. And when they arrive, you'll be, on them like, I don't know, death on people. I don't know. So, if that sounds good to people, we can totally work with that, unless people want to just be doing an assault plan where you just do violence to a target straight up.
I think there's always room for violence to be done, but again, a mercenary organization 2 tiers above us sounds like the bad people to assault from the front.
Right.
Yeah, I think being sneaky and then things can get violent if the sneakiness, when they wear their sneakiness, inevitably stops being sneaky.
Yeah. I also like this too because it totally is plausible for having Whistler been recruited too, right? Because you're like, Carrion, why don't you come work for us and fuck up the people that you don't, you just worked for.
By the way, there's a very sudden storm going on around here, so my power's been blinky. So if I cut out, it's because of that.
That was me yesterday and the week before. Yeah, I know it will. I hope that you survive. So, okay. So here's the question. What is the method of deception that you want to do? And mechanically in the game for specifically Agatha, right now we are in we're not in downtime, we're not in the score, we're in what's called free play mode, which means that you can gather information and it's any way that you want to be able to gather information you can do. Blades is very much like a player-driven game. So when you want to do something, you frame the scene yourself, and then from your actions that you have allotted your dots to, then you'll say, I'm going to be doing this action, and I give you position effect, and then we figure out like what the die says about the thing that's happening. So there's a lot of room for the player to dictate how they want to do a thing. And in this planning and engagement stage, we are detailing the method of deception, and then we move to what is called an engagement roll. And then that engagement roll dictates how well you do at the beginning of the in media res scene of the score happening next. And the factors that you need to consider is if this operation you're about to do is bold and daring, then you get an extra die towards it. If the plan exposes a detail that exposes a vulnerability of the target or hits them where they're weakest, you get an extra die. But if they're strongest against this approach or have particular defenses, then you get -1d to it. If you have friends that can help you in the operation, you get a die. And if any other elements factor in, then you get a +1d and -1d. So this free play mode is where you're going to want to be hitting on all those things to get extra die in your engagement roll. So you want to hatch something that's really bold and daring. You want it to be not complex or contingent on many factors, and you want to expose a vulnerability of the target or hit them where they're weakest. Sound good? So, bearing that in mind, what kind of plan do people want to have against these mercenaries? What is the trick?
And so what are we, this is just people that are gonna catch on to what we did last time, and we're trying to take them out before they dig up too much or tell anyone?
Yeah, well, it depends what kind of plan that you guys want to have. We can adjust the fiction to whatever kind of thing that you want, but I'm thinking chances are Nourish would have been like, that's embarrassing. We need to like silence the people who have done this, as well as get rid of Fatma. So they probably would have searched through the traces of this job that you just did in order to find the people responsible and punish them. And Nourish doesn't do that because they're a corporation. They're nice, so they hire Carrion to fuck you up instead. And then they give information to Carrion, and then whatever Carrion finds would presumably be the lure for this trick that you're doing to them.
Yeah, so this is a suggestion then. If, let's say, I don't know if this is like too low tech for this world, but basically how it's found, it's like a part of the code of jacking in. It has a section of it that it's not like a signature, but it's like a commonly used one by our crew specifically. So then when they see it, they're like, oh, that means that it's them. So then, but it's not that it's only used by us. It's just that we use it a lot. So we're one of the possibilities. And then if one of the people from Carrion were to talk to me and to be like, hey, like, you know, things didn't go down so well, but like, we want to know what's up. And so it's trying to trick me by being like, oh, here's the olive branch of friendship. You can totally come back. And then trying to get information, then we can maybe trick them that way. I don't know.
Nice. I think that sounds like a good connection to feed misinformation back to them. I was thinking, and so Lauren sort of checked me on how I'm understanding stuff, but Vidi, your character, is left as sort of the one in charge, the most senior active person on this particular job.
Yeah, this is the beginning.
This is all gonna go great. And Vidi is like a super addict, but has just recently found that the drugs we make and the drugs she has easy access to aren't doing it for her anymore. Right?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is a mercenary crew that's, you know, connected to, hired by Nourish. If anyone's gonna have access to that sweet new drug tech, like, it's totally gonna be Nourish. So if this is you bringing it forward, I feel like maybe there's some way that, like, through these mercs we can also get our hands on some sort of compound or new drug or information along those lines. What do you think?
Yeah, so I think it's probably what Vidi's hoping for. I think like Nourish is probably the sorry, the co-op that muscled Vidi out of her like business to begin with when she was legit. So I feel like this could also be like that that reveal like the fuck you, this is what I've been leading up to the whole time. Is sort of like you're back at Nourish kind of thing. But yeah, I could definitely see like stealing some of like Nourish's like codes and stuff for their gene hacking and that kind of thing to make a new drug, because like I desperately need new drugs. You're so right, Bolt.
Okay, so so maybe they're either like carrying or have something, or when we take out this particular mercenary crew, we'll have a time window to like use their clearances to hack information out of there, something like that. What do you think?
Yeah, that sounds neat.
Cool.
If I could make a quick suggestion,
Yeah.
just to sort of insert myself into the fiction, So I've got to contact Lily, who's a crafter of fine arms, and perhaps Lily is just hearing some some shit on the street that Carrion is buying up some ammo, placing orders with her, and that becomes the sort of the piece of information or the sort of the nugget that I come to you guys with.
Awesome.
Cool. Yeah, I like that. Okay, so we're gonna they get lured to that location via misinformation fed by all I can think of is Bambi now because I see it at the bottom.
Whistler.
Like Bambi is doing that. Bambi is vicious. So yeah, you feed them the location to where they're gonna go, where they're gonna get like messed up or whatever, right?
Yep.
When they show, since they have been given the authority of Nourish, they'll have some sort of clearances or stuff like that on them, so that you'll lure them into a trap, mess them up, take their clearances, and then use that clearance to get into some sort of Nourish stuff. Is that correct? And
Yes.
meanwhile, APOC has come to you because it sounds like APOC kind of knows what kind of gear they're going to be using and all that kind of stuff, and is showing themselves to be quite valuable and whatnot, right?
Right.
Cool.
Nice.
So why don't we start with that scene real quick then? And why don't you see if you can't gather some information? And probably... I bet it would be a good vector to get a vulnerability of the target, perhaps, if
Yes,
you know
yeah.
what kind of equipment they're using.
Yeah, exactly. Just get a sense of sort of what we're up against. Is this just light arms, heavy arms, so on? I guess sort of the counterpart. It's almost like trying to understand what their load is, so to speak.
Right. So what does this place look like? Where is Lily and where is her fine arts or fine arms thing? Where are her fine arts?
So I imagine that Lily's almost like a pillar of the community in some regards. But a negative pillar of the community in the sense that she sells knives and bullets and guns and the like. But she's been around for a very long time, and her shop is I'm imagining sort of like reused corrugated metal and bits and pieces from let's say ships or cars or other structures. And Lily's also not quite a tipper, but also not young either. Kind of just sort of on that midpoint. But she's got a deep understanding of surveillance and the craft. And so I walk in and slide sort of like styrofoam and aluminum foil and sort of loose wires. I mean, this is the stuff that she uses to keep from being surveilled. And she's neither a friend nor an enemy, but she recognizes me as a customer and someone in the trade. And she acknowledges my entrance, and it's I think it's all sort of very professional. That's probably a good way of putting it. And just over the course of the conversation, she sort of lets slip out that she's got a lot of deals recently. She's engaged in a lot of business recently with the Carrion. And so just on a meta level, I'm assuming this isn't common knowledge. Would that require an action roll or a fortune roll?
Yeah, it sounds like probably you're networking with her to getting this information, I think.
Okay, and coincidentally, I am very bad at networking.
Maybe you're swaying her then. What do you think?
I'm equally bad at swaying people.
Maybe he's with you.
Does anybody want to accompany me on this and perhaps do that roll for me?
I would love to accompany you. I always like making new friends, and Lily is someone that I have up until now been rather unacquainted with.
And what does Lily look like as well?
She.
I can give you 2 pictures here that you can choose from. Both have cool futuristic visors.
Let's see. Yeah, I'm sort of imagining. I'm just waiting for this to come up, but I'm kind of imagining sort of those deep black sunglasses that you usually see on octogenarians. Let's see. Fine, sort of delicate features. Lauren, if you have anything to input, feel free to chime in. Oh yeah, here we go.
Yeah, I was likewise waiting for the pictures to load. It's taking its time.
Yes, yeah. I mean, this
Ooh.
is sort of like, yeah,
Yeah, I like the purple lipstick with the red eye makeup. That's super
absolutely, yes. This is almost like David Bowie's impersonation or interpretation of what the 21st century would look like. It's just like
He's
wild
totally
colors, wild shapes,
he totally has his stuff playing in the background of her shop, like as like a
Absolutely.
throwback to that era.
Yes. A little bit of Wham playing in the background.
Yes. I love it already.
Cool.
Yes.
Cool.
So I guess just to get the story straight, since this is my introduction to the group, I would have heard something from her before, and then I would have brought back, Vidi with me, and Lily's not opening up to me. I need some help. If you guys need this information, someone with a more delicate touch has got to come back with me. So I would have brought Vidi along with me then at that point.
Excellent. I feel like Vidi would have definitely brought along like her little tea sampler that she likes to bring when she goes schmoozing. It has like some little like delicate tea cakes and stuff that she'll bring along. But it's also super ominous. Like she looks really sweet and like, hey, I just wanted to come and chat kind of thing. But then there's that look in her eye of like, no, we're here to do fucking business.
You're gonna eat my cakes and you're gonna fucking like
exactly.
But I gotta say that APOC is eating this up. I mean, his vice is luxury, and he loves handling the little teacups and the delicate little cakes. And it's just like, what a what a pleasurable experience this is as he wraps his massive hand around this little teacup.
Cool. So is this a group action for networking, perhaps, or are you helping? Mechanically, how do you want to handle it?
I'm good to What do you like, Ed? Do you like to join in on our tea party and make it a group effort, or?
Mechanically, I'm afraid that I'm going to drag you down.
That's okay.
And assist you, right? Couldn't I just take some stress and?
Yeah, just take 1 stress, and then you give
cool.
VD an extra die.
Yes. So he's doing his best. You could easily see the beads of sweat forming in his forehead, but he's doing his best to sort of, keep it all together and be as delicate and nice as possible.
I feel like V's like throwing you some small talk, like doing that like nice chit chat before like you get down to business kind of thing, and it's like, oh, isn't that how are you finding like the this area so far? I have to forget your character's name. I'm sorry.
APOC.
APOC. Yeah, APOC. And I started doing the nice chit chat kind of thing while he's like sweating profusely.
Cool. Rolling it.
Okay.
Oh, I didn't realize that the first Pinterest was Whistler. That's a good thing you picked the second one. Mississippi mislead? What'd you get?
All 5s.
Nice.
It's a lot of 5s. Cool. So this is a gather information. So pose a question to me and you'll get good information. You just won't get a follow-up because you didn't get a 6.
How unusual. Did you have what are your questions?
Yeah, what is the specific question that you would like answered from this conversation?
Let me see what you think about this. I mean, are we at all concerned about I guess just how heavily armed or sort of teched up the Carrion are, or is there a better question you could think of?
No, I feel like it's a good one. I feel like it's a good one to sort of begin with because we can hopefully try and leverage some like countermeasures against whatever they have going on. So that feels like a good place to start.
Yeah, maybe the size of force. How about that?
Okay. You want to word it as maybe something that would expose their vulnerability?
Yeah, yes. Phrasing of that question.
Sure. So, let's see.
You're coming at it from like the arms and stuff they were buying up. Maybe there's some particular weakness of a weapon or armor that they have that we could exploit.
Yeah, exactly. So what I'm thinking is they're all using a particular brand of augmented eyesight, and with a particular frequency, or even cooler, maybe like some kind of futuristic paint that you could line the place with. It like blinds them, like it nullifies whatever sort of devices that they're using. Maybe it's a nice shade of green that fucks them up. Yeah, or it could be a frequency too that you just like broadcast, and then it like shorts out their devices, something like that. Though that would be cool. And then in terms of like gear, we know that they would have really good equipment because they would be sending like a tier 4 force against you. So it'd be like you have like barely better than you have like adequate technology, and they have exquisite is the difference in the terminology in the game. Technically fair and or fine, I think it is in the game, and exquisite. So
I have to say I'm sort of personally drawn to the idea of like scan blocking paint, because that means that somewhere in the preparations for this job there's a scene of all of us in like coveralls and with paint rollers just getting a warehouse ready, and that's sort of amusing.
Yeah, I like that a lot.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That is nice, yeah.
Cool. So yeah, I think maybe it might even be like a funny scene with her telling you this, because like you'd be like, we need a way to get at Carrion or something, and she like comes out of the back and just like dumps these like paint cans in front of you, and you're probably like, what? And then in the movie versions of this, it just cuts to like a different scene. Right? Like the audience doesn't get to figure out what the paint does until it actually happens to them at the warehouse, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, I can just imagine hearing, what was that Wham song, Wake Me Up When You Go Girl, just sort of playing in the background as we're painting the walls, like fuchsia or, some sort of, again, that scan blocking color.
Yeah.
So yeah, if that's our sort of in, then I do think like an abandoned warehouse with a complicated interior setup to where we can sort of learn the layout of the place and get them separated and blocked off from each other, sort of lead them through a maze.
Right. Yeah. You can still try to garner. You want to make sure that they aren't strongest against this approach or do not have particular defenses or special preparations, is what you also want to circumvent with this. You also want to be particularly bold and daring in your endeavor to get more engagement dice. Because I think they would generally be strongest against this approach. Like you'll still get the plus 1d to getting the vulnerability, but there's still a group of mercs that with a bunch of guns, and yeah, so you want to try to circumvent that even more. So if you could make the warehouse some sort of elaborate thing that doesn't lend well to their numbers, or close quarters, so they can't use like many of them can't stand back to back or side to side, right? Like single file, some sort of traps.
Yeah, so really building up the location to be even more maze ready. I also think, given our sort of like crew and connections, either we go with some sort of plan where we try and dose them all and get them super high, or we like call down an act of God on this building once they're all trapped inside. I don't know. Do people feel one way or the other?
Yeah, I love the idea of the act of God. Excuse me.
Yeah. Sorry, no, I cut you off. Does Fault have proprietary tech?
I do think I have something. They have specialized tech. I don't have an ability to like call down.
Oh no, I was gonna say that would look so cool.
There is a move for that, but I'm not there yet.
One day. Either way, yeah, calling it an act of God on this place sounds amazing.
Oh. Wait, do we need something to do something with the act of God, or?
Well, we have the crew has connections to a group that has tech that can either accurately predict or call down. We're not quite sure what they do with the acts of God. We have friends we could call on.
Okay.
Yeah, to make it so that they're not strong against this approach, right? So that they're like, oh no, maybe it's like some sort of sandstorm or monsoon or whatever happening as they like go into this warehouse that is a death trap, something like that, and then I don't know, apparently collapse the building on them or something like that.
Yeah, and
But
then
you still want to get to them to get their passes or whatever, right?
Yeah. Well, we again we have sunlight. We have our like super high quality drug. So I think finding some way to like pump it into the building, or if darts would get around their armor better, or something like that. But definitely drugging them throughout there is, I think, going to be one way to up the maze factor.
Blind them all with paint and sunshine, so they're really stupid.
Just wandering around lazily from one room to the other.
Agatha, were you gonna say something?
oh, I was just gonna talk about the act of God thing and my move, but I think if we already have connections, then it's fine.
What move are you thinking?
Oh, because I was thinking then I could just take the precision instrument move, which is that. Oh no, that's not the right one. Storm Hunter move, which is when your drone, my drone, it says that it's especially engineered and it gains potency when tracking or engaging acts of God and gains a module, so on and so forth. So, but it might not be necessary. So,
let's see. Yeah, that's more like when you're actually going up against an axe of God, I think.
Okay, that's fair.
Best. You could still probably use some of the functionality, but you'll probably get more bang for your buck taking a different move against these particular mercs.
Cool.
Yeah. Also, that whole idea about drugging them or whatever, have another idea about that. What about if you like so the high class method of people taking this drug is wearing glasses, right? That are like slotted. You push a button on it, it flashes in your eyes, and it like takes them. So what if you put up some sort of sheathing over the wallpaper? It flashes them as they come in, and then all that's left is that paint there. So they like get hit with the drug, and then they like all the stuff doesn't work because of the paint and shit, right?
I love that. That's cool.
Yeah.
That would be pretty fun, I think.
All right, so after we get the whole place painted, we need to wallpaper the first couple of rooms with flash sheets of drugs.
Yeah.
This is totally turning into like one of those daytime shows. Like, I have to watch them, but yeah.
Now we just need to work up a bear trap throw rug, and we can pull the whole thing together, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you looking to create your like murder death trap building? Well, there's some simple tricks you can do to
Yeah. It's 30 after the hour though, so why don't we take a quick break and come back at 35, and then we'll go from there. Is that cool? Cool. And next Sunday, I'm gonna be playing White Hack. Woohoo!
Oh, nice.
First time, kind of.
I don't think I haven't played either white or black hack.
Yeah. Now I will have played both.
Jealous.
Yeah, I could probably look this up, but what is the white hack and the black hack?
It's a rules light version of it's an OSR property, so it's rules light version of original D&D.
Oh, cool.
Or sometimes advanced D&D, depending on how risque they're feeling. But White Hack is pretty interesting because it's like fairly innovative and takes some leaps versus the Black Hack is pretty vanilla, but like still rules light and stripped down. Whereas White Hack has like really interesting character creation that's open-ended and pretty different than D&D, and that's why I dig it a lot. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna get some thumbs down on this video. People are gonna get that and be like, "What? Black Hack is better. I hate you." Anyway, not stepping into that trap, but white is better. Cool. Why don't we? I'd like to get one of the details from an interaction that Whistler has, because we haven't seen Whistler on the screen yet, and then you can describe what they look like because I really like that picture. Do you have an idea of getting some information? Because it sounded like you had an idea about like leveraging your contacts at Carrion or something like that to get more details or something.
Yeah. Yes, I also love that picture of Shariah J, and I'm glad that you found it because Shariah J is underrated. But anyway, so again, Whistler left under inauspicious circumstances, but it's like she still has some people that she was tighter with, and then but it's also like obviously no one trusts each other, so friends, right? And I think it's like she knew immediately after we dropped the lure that someone was gonna get in contact with her, and it's one of her friends. I don't know if I should come up with like a handle for that.
You have deadly friends. There's Raphael, Mark for Hire. That might fit.
Well, that's perfect.
Yeah. Or it can be whatever name you want, though. Those are just like, ideas and stuff. But you can, when you do, you can choose one that is like an up arrow on your sheet. Okay. And that's like a friend. It can be like a friend, a lover, contact, anything positive. And then you pick one that is a down arrow, which is a rival, a enemy, all that kind of stuff. They could still be your lover, but it's not a positive situation.
Okay. I want to say that then should my contact be my rival then? Is that how that would better work?
If you want it to, yeah, it can be a positive or a negative. You can still have like a positive relationship where they're not, dead nice to you or whatever.
I see. Okay.
Yeah. It's up to you. You can classify this as either or.
Okay. Yeah. Let's say, yeah, it's complicated. I think my contact's name, her name is, or her alias handle is Gogo. And she has short pink hair that like falls over one eye in a mohawk, let's say.
Cool.
Yeah.
And is it a rival or?
Yeah, we're rivals.
Okay, cool.
I don't have friends. I only have rivals.
Cool. So, what kind of information do you want to get from them?
I want to know how many people are going to be coming and what kind of gear / weapons they're going to be bringing.
Okay. Well, gear / weapons, we know from the other one, they're getting abstracted to tier above you weapons.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
But you want to know how many there are and stuff like that?
Yeah, and if it's possible for me to kind of like to make sure that they're super tricked,
Super
that they
tricked.
don't suspect anything.
They're uber tricked. Okay. Okay, well, where and how and all that is this taking place? Is this like a phone call? Are you meeting them somewhere? What do you imagine the scene is where this is taking place?
We must be meeting at a shop of sorts.
Are you meeting at the Blue Oolong?
We could be.
Invite them for some tea.
Yeah, is the Blue Oolong like a little bit famous?
Mm. Yeah, it's tier 2 now, right? So yeah, I guess you guys' rep would be fairly good now.
Actually, I don't think we would meet there just because she wants to get dirt on this place, so she wouldn't want to meet on our territory in case anyone was listening. I think she would want a more neutral place.
Okay.
So maybe just some bar that we used to frequent.
Sure, some Carrion bar. The Crow.
So subtle. Yeah, that's perfect. I love that.
Maybe it's just called Caw.
Yeah, I'm gonna be meeting Gogo at a Caw.
Yeah. Yeah, there's
Love
like
it.
it's one of those places where you have to like walk down a flight of stairs and there's a door and then like the bouncer opens like the slit and you have to say the password. What is the password?
Yeah.
Dark. Dark as the night.
I like the magpie comes at night, Lauren.
Oh, nice.
That's pretty.
Oh wow, I didn't even see that. I also went to the night. Cool. And yeah, so this door opens on this place, and is this like a nice place? Is it a shady establishment? What kind of place is this?
Yeah, it looks really dirty,
Yeah.
grimy.
Cool. Well, why don't let's paint the scene a little bit then. Why don't I want to know what is like so gross about this place, but also how do we know that it's like a cyberpunk futuristic bar? 2 details from everyone, whoever wants to go.
I can see that. To get down there, even it's like it doesn't look like it's wide enough to be an alleyway, but when you like step closer, then or no, that's not it. But it's like it doesn't look like it's an alleyway, but then you go closer, and then like some of the steps they start sinking down in a way where they're like floating downwards, but they're all like there's like a lot of muck on everything, even when they're. And then maybe there's like some sparks, so it doesn't look like it's well maintained, but
there's like sparks coming out of like the technology in there, or what do you mean?
Yeah, like in between the steps, like the mechanism.
Oh, dangerous.
Yeah, yeah, because it's the hardcore life.
Hardcore, yes. This is the Merc life for reals. Cool. Anyone else have something?
So I think when you come into the bar itself especially, but also like the tables and stuff around it, like there's this weird sort of neon lighting inside, and everything is like sleek, black, reflective, chrome-edged sort of Tron realness all over the place. But then there's some of those like sparks and little system faults, and one of the lights in the ceiling will flicker for a moment, and you see like the real bar underneath this weird semi-holographic layer, and it's like concrete bar and built-in tables, and everything's sort of like stained and algae covered, and there might be a rat or two running around, but mostly it's covered by the Tron illusion.
Cool. Anyone else?
What was the page of the scene question? I'm sorry, I got distracted by daytime shows and door-to-door sales.
Just how it's like grimy, but also what is like cyberpunk and futuristic about it.
Okay.
Yeah, have we established if this is like a, like a speakeasy, kind of like an illegal, bar or pub, or is this sort of like, on the opposite end, is this, the scene, the place to go?
I think it's definitely more well known because it's like the spot for Carrion peeps to go to, and Carrion is pretty big. So it's almost like if you want to make contact, you go there. And some people who want to like seem more connected and or like cooler than they maybe are, they also go there.
Oh, cool. So I'm imagining, sort of, different levels of income and technology, just a mix of, just a real mix of people, different ethnicities, styles, etc.
Cool.
That sort of a thing.
Sure.
So like I feel like it's Carrion, I think like meat and like vultures and eating stuff, right? So I think like this bar is probably hooked up with like another restaurant or something to serve foods, but it's all very like meat and like barbecue based and stuff. So like you get that smell of like meat that's just baked into the walls of this place. And people are probably picking at like portions of like quite greasy barbecue food based on what this place looks like. But then I feel like also rather than serving cocktails and beer and stuff, you can also like jack in here and like jack into something that'll put you in a stupor like directly into your brain as well for getting your food and drink and other needs met.
Okay, I just love the idea of a bar called Carrion where people are blissed out at their table with their plates full of like picked over bones that are left.
Yeah, shit got real. Okay, cool. So what does your rival look like?
So again, I'm imagining her as a little smaller and more. She's very wiry. Go-Go. She has short mohawk that is just like bright pink, falls over her right eye. Yes.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, and she just looks very like wired all the time. Very
right.
jittery.
Okay. And so she's probably waiting for you in a booth already, right? And when you go to sit down, she's like, you keep noticing that she's like twitchy and keeps eyeing that jack in, right, for the stupor, but she doesn't want to, jack in right now because you're about to have a conversation and she needs her wits about her. But you can bet as soon as you guys are done, she's just going to be like, thump, right? So what is it? How do you try to get this information from her?
I wait for her to start because negotiations. I wait for her to kind of like start with the like, hey, let's grab some ribs. Also, like, how's life been? But she's very bad at that. So I know that she'll like try to do that and then immediately be like, look, I got a deal for you. And then I'll be like, okay. And then we can kind of talk through I don't know.
Sure. And do you think that she has this information because she's one of the people that is going to be tasked to go on this mission, or she just is like it's like around in the ether of the corporate culture and stuff like that? People are talking about this job, or she's somehow got word of it or something and is passing it on to you.
I think she is a go-getter, so she's definitely like she's heard about it and she's coming to me trying to get like a leg in because she is a little lower tiered. We're both low tiered. And she's not actually like high up enough to be sent on something like this.
Right.
So she wants to like go to them to be like, yeah, I got this info and we can go, but they're probably not going to let her anyway.
Right. Okay,
Yeah.
so maybe her in with you then is she, like you said, she does the like cut the crap with the pleasantries because she's no good at it. And then she's like, you heard about the company exec who got I don't know, basically essentially doxed is what you guys did to him, right? Along with releasing some other private things to the public. But she's like, if you have any information on where that executive is now, maybe that's something I can take to my superiors.
Yeah, okay, but what do I get out of this?
Well, there's a job being put together that might be of interest to you. They're sending pretty strong task force, 6 of the best actually, to go against the people that did this against Carrion. They don't stand a chance, and she like cracks her knuckles and puts it like behind her head, right?
Yeah,
Keeps
6 of the
glancing
best,
at the jack. Yeah, yeah, which means like technically they sometimes Carrion sends lower tier forces against jobs, but you know that this job they're sending an actual tier 4 force.
Okay.
And then do you want to do a roll to try to get more information from him?
Yeah, I think so.
Are you gonna sway her, command her, network?
I'm gonna sway her. I want to, in a way, it wouldn't be a loss if I didn't get any more info, but I want to sell it to her that this is me like revealing a secret to her as opposed to, setting a trap.
All right, right. So you're just like really selling the info about Fatma, because you also that this crew knows kind of like what happened to Fatma, and that they were like exiled by them, right? Like the last sort of scene that we saw was Silver making sure that like Fatma was sort of doing the long walk, right? Like the whatchamacallit, the Judge Dredd, the last walk of their life, or whatever the hell they call it, right? When they're walking out of the city into the forged areas where they're probably going to die anyway, but whatever. Cool. So you're swaying.
Yeah.
So mechanically, you can take 2 stress to add an extra die to the pool that you have.
Uh-huh.
Or you can, there's something called a ripple, which is like a devil's bargain that I can offer you.
Mm-hmm.
And the ripple that I am thinking of now is that she later finds out, oh, this is the last session, actually. I was like, wait, that's not really got some bite if it's for later. Can anyone think of a ripple as well? So anyone at the table can offer a ripple, which is a fun thing about this game. Like all of the players can put something on the table, and then if you accept it, it's the same thing as pushing yourself without having to take the stress.
Can it be something like sort of meta, or does it have to come directly out of this fiction here?
No, it can be something meta.
What if like this 6-person team, what if one of the 6 people is someone that Whistler knows really well, is close to?
Yeah, that would be good. An ex lover. No wonder you don't have an up arrow.
Yeah.
You know, the sort of person that it's not going to be so easy to just like mow down or leave for the storm to take or whatever.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
great. I really like that.
Cool.
Okay.
Okay, so meta level, we all know that, and then now you don't have to push yourself. And when you click on the button for sway, it'll open some prompts for you in Roll20, and you don't need to worry about position and effect. So you can just hit like submit to those two. But when it asks you extra dice or bonus dice, something like that, you can just hit one there, and that will be the ripple benefits that you get.
Sorry, wait a sec. Where do I? Which button? Where?
If you hit the actual sway button beside the dots.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, fancy, huh?
Okay, okay.
It's a very fancy sheet.
Yeah.
And the input value says risky, control, desperate.
Yeah. Yeah. So just hit. It asks you for a fortune roll. Oh yeah. Okay. So you can actually just select a fortune roll, and then it will ask you a bonus dice, right? And then you put 1 in there. Because position and effect don't matter right now, because you're gathering information. You're not in a.
No, it says effect, and then standard, limited, great, extreme, 0.
Just put any of them. Any of those is fine.
I'm gonna go with extreme.
Okay.
Oh, bonus dice. I see it now.
Yeah, and then put 1 in there. There you go. So you got a 4, which is a mid result, which means you can ask me any direct question, and there's sample questions on your sheet at the very bottom. But you can ask me anything, and then I will give you good information on it.
Oh, so I'm gathering information and not swaying them?
You're doing it by swaying them.
Okay.
Yeah.
I understand.
Yeah. Don't worry. It takes probably 3 or 4 sessions of playing Blades in the Dark before you're like, okay, this is a very mechanically dense game with lots of different moving parts, and then it also is like segregated into different parts, like downtime, free parting, and all that kind of stuff. So it's going to take a while.
Okay, so I can ask one question, is what you said?
Yes.
How can I get... Oh. How can I get them to be absolutely convinced that they are not walking into a trap?
Okay. Oh, interesting. And this is like your rival, right? Like,
Yeah, she's my
so
rival.
is it safe to say that she'd be like looking like you're trying to play her and she's trying to play you, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So I think the only way that she's gonna buy this is if you like make it seem like it's an accident that you reveal the location of where they're supposed to go with the warehouse, right? Okay. So like if you, I don't know, leave something behind, or act like you're drunk or something. That's a pretty classic one, right? Where you like look like you're hooked into the sauce, whatever it's called, and drunk when you tell her this, something like that. If you give her the information where it doesn't seem like you're cognizant of doing it, or she finds the information herself via some way that you set up, that will be the way that you get to make sure that they are not strongest against this approach.
Okay.
Is that good?
I'm like, I write down on a rib.
A rib.
Look, man, no deal. You can't. You're not offering me anything. And then, well, now that that's over, Jack in.
Yeah, I think she like kind of deflates and then nods and then, puts it in, and I guess she visibly relaxes, right? Like there's a instant euphoria to using this drug. What is it like, Patrick? This drug?
I think it's like tasting burning fuchsia, but all throughout your whole body.
Okay, that sounds interesting.
I love that.
So that's what happens.
Oh my god, that is terrific. I gotta say. Is it like
Burning
tasting
fuchsia.
shapes?
It's like
Yeah.
tasting the rainbow, but just fuchsia.
And also with your toes.
Yeah. And like, since this is a cheap place, at first all you taste is like peanuts, right? And there's like a little thing, like a disclaimer, just like when you pull up to the McDonald's windows, where it's just like all products have a little bit of peanuts in them or whatever. Right?
It's amazing. So if you have allergies,
Yeah.
yeah, and because we frequently hear all the time, I know that some of these jacks don't work. We
Clever.
established that it's like a little run down, so I just stick one in that like I remember doesn't work, and then but I act the same, and then we're just like mumbling things, and then as I'm mumbling things, I'm like, oh yeah, gotta get paint or whatever.
To the warehouse.
Yeah, to the warehouse.
Gotta get to 313 Woodrow Avenue, third apartment.
Postal code this.
Yeah. Postal code, geolocation coordinates, everything. Sweet. Yeah, I like that. And I think how she gets it is like, maybe after a little while you're still like mumbling things or whatever, but she has like continually, maybe there's some sort of dial on it, right? And she continually like dials up the amount of stuff that she gets. But the way that she knows that you said that stuff is as you're like exiting this place, we get a shot of her code or something, and it zooms in, and there's like a recorder, right? That's recording this whole conversation, and she'll listen to it later.
Nice. Yeah,
Yeah.
that makes sense.
Cool. And meanwhile, though, she's blissed out, as Patrick says. She's got a little bit of fuchsia, a little bit of peanuts. She's happy. Cool. Does anyone else want to gather information before we go to the engagement roll? Any other things that you want to know?
I don't know. It seems like we got a solid leg up on them, information-wise.
And we can flash back to stuff if we need, like, say, assets and that kind of thing, right?
Yeah. So you can always flash back for stuff. That's the nice thing about this game. The game doesn't differentiate between rolls made now and rolls made in the past. But if I put an obstacle in your path in the coming score and you flash back to circumvent it before it even happens, or to deal with it now, having like, you could be like, oh, there's a guard here, and you're just like, nope, there isn't, because I flash back and I bribe the guard. There's no guard there, right? And then we find out how that roll works in the past to dictate what the future holds. And or like someone's about to shoot you, and you like, yeah, I flash back and I hit a weapon under this table the whole time, and I like grab it and shoot the guy. That kind of stuff, right? The more contrived you get with these steps you take in your flashbacks, the more plausible it is, the least amount of stress it takes. So if it's something extremely plausible, you take no stress and you just get the benefits of it and you roll. Cool. Okay, so let's go to the engagement roll. The method of deception is you're going to get them high and then not being able to talk to them, and then is it safe to say you're going to waste them, or what is the plan there? Going to kill them? Is it a murder trap?
Yeah, I mean, we have Whistler for a reason.
Yep. Cool. Okay. So let's go to the engagement roll. So on all plans, you start out with plus 1d to for sheer luck. Is this operation particularly bold or daring? I think so. Yeah, these people are pretty high above you in tier, and you're like, come to our murder house. Is this operation overly complex or contingent on many factors? No, I don't think so. Does it expose a vulnerability of the target or hit them where they're weakest? Yes, definitely. And you don't get the detraction of that because we know that they are not strongest against this approach. Can any friends or contacts provide aid or insight into this operation? I think we kind of already got the benefit of that in order to get the other dice. And are any enemies or rivals interfering with the operation? I think they would have, but they have already been rolled by Agatha, apparently. So, is there any other elements that you want to consider? If it's a higher tier, then you get minus 1d. So you get 2 dice to your engagement roll. Who wants to roll that?
I feel like this has been Falt's been really the mastermind behind this plan of setting them up and drugging them. So I would be honored if Fault rolled.
Gonna make this all my fault.
Cool. And does anyone have any special abilities that go towards engagement rules?
I do not.
I'm not sure what would count as that.
It would specifically say in the ability something about plus 1d to engagement roll.
Okay, so no.
Cool. Okay, so I guess Fault, do it up.
I got a 6.
Nice. So a 6 means that you're in a controlled position when this happened, which makes sense, I think. So I think the only thing that is like a trip up for you guys is in this warehouse, we get like a still shot, right, of like a warehouse probably near the docks, like the lapping water. It's nice and calm and everything, right? And then suddenly we cut to the inside of the warehouse as like a charge on the roof explodes, and they do the Carrion thing where they like rappel down, right? That's the only hurdle in the thing. You thought they would just like blow charges or something like that and enter, but information from the rival was like, she's sneaky, you gotta fuck her up by like getting in some way that she won't know, right? So they blow the charge on the roof, they rappel down, and then the whatchamacallit, the stuff goes off, right? So let me make a clock to track this progress. I'm going to abstract this team as being, I'll just call them Carrion bad people. It's going to be a large clock because they're higher tier than you. And then someone should probably acquire an asset to get on the same tier as them for this product, I think. Or we can do a roll now with somebody making the roll, whoever is doing this specific thing with the paint, but it would have a desperate limited effect on them. But if you acquire an asset that is the same tier as them, then you'll be in a controlled standard effect with them.
I feel like when it comes to painting the walls with drugs, like that's definitely right up Feedy's alley.
Right. You want to roll to acquire an asset then?
I would love to roll to acquire an asset.
Cool. So just roll the tier of your gang, or your crew, I should say. And now it's even better because you're tier 2. So you get 2 dice towards it instead of just 1. Woohoo.
And can I aid with that?
No, not on an acquire asset
Gotcha.
roll. Cool. So you get it as a 5, which is just your tier. So you'd need to pay 2 jewels to bump it up to their tier.
I think that sounds reasonable for our finale, right?
Do you want to take it out of the coffers of the crew?
Yes, please, because I am poor as fuck. I don't know how what happened, but I have no money.
Okay. Sounds good. All right. And then it sounds like, is it a group action that has everyone painted the walls and helped with this action to try to get them all high and messed up? Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool. So what action do you guys
Sure.
think this is? Are you doing to them?
You mean to paint the wall, or
No, like to get them all high and stuff, right? What is the verb being done to them?
That's
Would that be
No, like modify or wreck or
It could also be ghost, right? Because you're doing it all sneaky and stuff like that. Like, is it? I feel like, well, I don't know. I guess it depends. Do you guys want to frame this action as being, the sneaky part of it goes really well and we all work together to make the sneaky part work, or is the action like you're all high now?
Well, I'm thinking, does everyone have some dots or some experience in Ghost? Because that might sort of fit into that definition of ambush.
I
And that
have
might
a
actually
dot
be
in
our-
Ghost.
Yeah,
I
that
have
might be
2 in
Ghost
Ghost.
ability.
I have one.
Yeah,
Okay.
let's do it.
Okay, so we're going to do a group action, Agatha. That means that every character is going to roll Ghost. You're going to be in a controlled position. You're going to have a great effect because it's 4 of you instead of 1 person doing this action, so your scale is higher. And because everyone is rolling the same action, we take the highest result from all of you. Also, in addition to that, it would be easy for you guys to crit this because you have a special ability for your crew called Synchronized. When you perform a group action, you may count multiple 6s from different rolls as a critical success. So,
At a mechanical level, does this require a leader or?
yeah, somebody would be leading it, and it sounded like Vidi, right? Is the
Okay.
master of the drug plan. Okay. Cool. So if anyone fails this roll, which is 1, 2, or 3, Agatha, they cause stress to Vidi. They take 1 stress per failure, including themselves. You're all shocked.
And I'm gonna spend 2 stress to push this.
Cool. Vidi, do you have any items that can bump up your effect?
Hang
Do you have really good
on.
drugs or something? I don't know.
I have water.
Yeah, not sure if that'll help you.
And I feel like I have blueprints. I'm just gonna grab the latest.
You have crypto locks. Oh no, wait, faint. You have a cover identity, concealed palm posters.
We have the good stuff. Your merchandise is exquisite, and it's equal to your tier +2 in quality.
Oh yeah, there you go. So if you're using your drug, I could definitely. So you'll have extreme effect on them instead.
Nice. Awesome. I'm so glad Fault is here. I feel like we're Vidi's like losing the plot. Fault's like, Vidi, don't you remember? Like, this is a thing you can do. And Vidi's like, yes, thank you for reminding me. I did that.
Remember, you wisely came up with this last night when we were talking about this when no one else was around.
Yeah.
Cool.
Totally.
So everyone roll controlled, extreme effect, ghost. And if you want to push yourself, which is take 2 stress, you can have a bonus die to that action if you like. So far, so good. Mid result. Oh, there you go. Oh, and a failure. So fault causes 1 stress. What do you do that stresses out Vidi just a little bit?
So I think it's just you know, we're laying all this out in like we've got it painted up on the walls, and I think Vidi's just high and like micro focusing on things, and so she's convinced that like all of the brushstrokes need to go horizontally to get the best refraction off, and I just keep doing like vertical and some random diagonals, and I think it's just driving her insane, and I can't understand what she's getting so worked up about.
Awesome. I like that. So we get the shot of these people blowing the roof. They rappel down. We see them in like tactical black gear with the symbol of like Carrion on their shoulder. They've got like black helmets, very like altered carbony, where there's like the two red eyes and the black corporate armor action going on. They do the like scanning the room, and they're like start turning on their equipment to start like doing some echolocation shit, looking for bodies in the room or whatever. And then boom, there's like a big eruption, like a huge flash everywhere that they look, right? Because it's like, I'm imagining on all sides. And there's a bunch of screaming, and then it suddenly like calms down as the sunshine hits them, because it's like a hallucinogen, right? So I think the camera shows what they're hallucinating is, which is the out of the large hole that was blown up top. Now there's like direct sunlight coming down, right? And as they look down, there's like all this grass sprouting up, and there's like suddenly this warehouse for them is transformed into like as if they were in a park or something like that, right? They don't see the walls anymore. They don't see any of that. They just see like sunshine and some like birds tweeting and stuff like that. And even the roof has like faded away. And I think they're like starting to panic a little bit, probably. And mechanically, what that means on the crew sheet, I've got this. So you're in a control position with extreme effect, which is going to be 3. Boom. So you did very well. So on a 12-segment clock, that is the abstraction of this particular obstacle. You're already 5 ticks in because of the extreme effect, and a full success of 6. So I'm going to pull the table and see what everyone's actions are next, and then we'll execute them. So what would Whistler be doing from here?
Shooting some of them, I'm assuming.
Sounds good. Okay, so are you like hiding somewhere from afar and just like pot shotting them, or what?
Yeah, I'm like lying on the rafters a bit unnecessarily because they're like high AF and it doesn't matter. They can't see me anyway. But I think it's like it's professional pride insists that I need to lie on this rafter. So that's what I'm doing.
Sounds good. Okay, so hold that thought. What is APOC doing?
You know, I think the situation calls for just sort of hand to hand. So it's just sort of, you know, one by one, you know, the sort of like cinematic, you know, punching, kicking, knife, sort of a ballet.
Cool. Okay. So are you like dropping into the center of them and with your knives and gonna mess them up or something? Or
Yeah, I think I would have waited for the first shot from Whistler and used that as the proceed, you know, the go ahead, the green light.
Good. Okay, cool. Hold that thought. What about Vidi?
So out of my wheelhouse right now. Oh gosh, all I can picture is like Vidi kind of like evil Bond villain up in the top level, like just watching all of this happening.
Do you have a cat that you're stroking?
Yeah, totally.
Well, you might be able to set up somebody else's action.
Yeah,
something.
Yeah, can I help set up? Yes, either someone or Vault, or because I feel like I could do that.
Okay, cool. Hold that thought. And finally, what about Vault? What are you doing?
So I think we had talked about the idea of an act of God earlier, and I think because this is such a connected mercenary crew, like they probably have communications open and stuff wired back to some other part of their group, that if sudden lights go off and they all start talking like idiots and bumping into walls, like maybe some other people are going to come try and extract them or help them out. So I think maybe this is a flashback to an asset thing, or I'm working with Stray Light to communicate like the exact timing of when this like super rain and lightning squall needs to hit over this area of the city, so that right as they come in and that flash goes off, like all of their communications get cut off. This building is sort of like a no zone for any sort of wireless or anything like that.
Okay, cool. Let's do that first then. So if you're acquiring an asset, you're going to hit the tier button on the crew sheet to do that.
Okay. And do I have to spend anything for doing a flashback?
No, this seems pretty plausible that you would do that. Not so much the storm happening, but you doing that, yeah.
So
I would like one storm, please.
And is our relationship with Stray Light good enough for any sort of like bonus or anything?
Yeah, they love us. We're at a 3, right?
Yeah, mechanically that doesn't give you a bonus. That just means that they'll go out of their way to help you, though.
Cool, gotcha.
Yeah. 6, that's pretty good. So it's already, that means it's 1 tier above you already.
And so I'm guessing the whole Carrion organization is 4, so I'll spend a coin out of the group or a jewel rather, to bump that up tier +2.
Cool. So interesting.
So we have a tier 4 storm that hits the outside of this warehouse, but it's totally okay, you guys. This is all part of the plan.
Yeah. And so let's see. I'm going to make a clock called that clock. It's only going to be 4 ticks. So let's say that is an action against the Blackhawk. That is what they went down on as well. So we're going to give you the benefit of it being like, oh no, we can't talk to anybody, oh shit, but also maybe it'll fuck up the Blackhawk up there too.
Gotcha.
So what action do you think this might be taking against the Blackhawk up there? Probably wreck, PS.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Yeah, cool. Why don't you roll that and let's see how well this goes.
VD, you say something about helping people? People what don't have no rec skills?
Yeah.
So how do you want to help then? Do you want to do a... Oh, so you don't have any dots in it, right?
Nope.
Okay, yeah, cool. Okay, so you're just gonna spend stress to give a die, or group action it, or what do you want to do?
I think I likewise am not super good at ranking things. Oh, I'm really bad at ranking things. So yeah, I feel like I'm probably helping by giving a die. I'm assisting.
Just out of curiosity, so does a fine level weapon provide like an extra dice?
No, it gives you more effect. It'll bump up your effect by 1.
Yeah, I was just thinking, I mean, how about if, would it help any if I had a flashback and make sure that I acquire a fine heavy weapon and, just sort of going through the process of, telling Vault and Video, okay, guys, this is how you use it. Can I leave that with them to give them that bonus at least? I mean, would that help at all?
You could take 1 stress to give a die, but only 1 player can do that for.
Oh, that's right. That's
yeah.
right.
So either one of you can be helping, but only one. And since you're going to be messing up the guys, maybe leave it to Vidi to help. So how do you help, Vidi?
How do you? I have no idea. Sorry.
Well, you have good survey and stuff like that, right? So maybe you're just like telling them exactly where it needs to strike and stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
Maybe it's another one of those shots where you're similarly back in the park talking to that stray light person, and you're both giving information to the person, right?
Yes, I dig that. That's totally how I'm helping.
Cool. Sounds good. So why don't we roll that 1 dice and we'll see how well it goes.
Let's see. Are we still controlled, or is this risky now?
No, it's controlled for sure.
Standard.
Yeah.
I do get a bonus die.
3.
But that's a 3.
Yeah. No, that's fine though. At least it helps, right? There you go. So, yeah, because this was just like a auxiliary effect against the Blackhawk, because I was like, a storm's probably going to mess up their copper up there, right? So I just wanted to give you an additional benefit of having damage done to their Blackhawk, as well as a radio silence blackout thing. Cool. So, let's see. So up in the rafters, someone's taking a shot, and APOC is going to be engaging them physically. Vidi, are you wanting to set up either of these actions?
Yeah, sure.
Sounds a car alarm or something is going off out there. Can you guys hear that? Yeah?
Just a bit.
Okay,
It's going to add to the ambiance of things going haywire.
right, yeah. So who do you want to set up and how do you do it?
Good question. I feel like there's probably some like element of flashing back to staking out like sort of the spots where these people are most likely going to end up, like in like having coordinated our traps. So like where there's points where these people are probably going to end up to take a really good shot. Fictionally, I have blueprints, so like I probably got some super cool blueprints of this warehouse and this that we have going on there. So that's the thing.
Do you mark spots on the floor where they're probably going to land, and then they land there, and then they get shot and fucked up?
Yeah.
I like that. That's a very like spidery, whatchamacallit, like thinky person.
Yeah. It's totally at the Blue Oolong too, like one of the tea tables where like Vidi just like slaps down a map of like a blueprint of this place with like all the circled areas, and it's like, this is where it's happening, guys.
Yeah. Well, I like the idea though that like you mark the spot exactly where they like land though, you know, like where it blows, they land and they're standing on like X marks the spots.
Yeah, totes.
That'd be funny. And then they like, you know, they look down, they see the X and they're like, what the fuck? And then it starts growing grass and they're just like, what the?
Yeah, that sounds great.
Cool. So what action do you think that is?
I feel like good question. It's probably quite controlling, or like, am I modifying this warehouse? Yeah, I don't know.
It could just be like a survey thing too.
Oh yeah, it could be a survey thing. Yeah. Actually, yeah, survey is probably more accurate. I'll roll survey.
Cool. So you're in a controlled position, standard effect.
Awesome.
And then success will give a setup action to either Agatha or Ed, and they can take advantage of that.
Awesome.
Unless you fail. A 5 is not a fail. Cool.
Cool.
So, and it does bring a consequence because it's a mid result. So on a 4 to 5 in a controlled result, you hesitate, withdraw, and try a different approach, or else do it with a minor consequence. A minor complication occurs. You have reduced effect. You suffer lesser harm. You end up in a risky position. I think these guys, like one of them in particular, looks down, sees the X, and starts freaking out, especially as the grass starts growing and everything. And then one of them does the typical thing in action movies where they just freak out and start shooting everywhere, and you get like grazed in your shoulder and take 2 harm, unless you resist the consequence.
Sure. Let's get a shot of like VD having planned for this already and just stepping out of the way of these bullets that go like flying into the wall behind her.
Cool.
That sounds like finesse, and I'm really bad at finesse or prowess.
Sure.
Da, da, da.
4. So you take 2 stress.
No
So
problem.
So Agatha, what happened there? Because you haven't played Blades before, right? So what happens is if you don't get a 6, there is some kind of complication, and every complication as a player, you have an opportunity to resist, and it automatically succeeds when you resist a roll. And the only thing that you incur is stress. So when you resist something, you'll roll either insight, prowess, or resolve. The number of dice or the number of action ratings in the left-hand column with that like separating line thing on the left side. However many dots you have in those is how many dice it will roll for your resistance roll. And then you take 6 minus the highest result that you get. So you could take a lot of stress, you could take no stress at all if you rolled a 6. But either way, it succeeds no matter what. So instead of getting hit, Vidi, we kind of like retcon it, and Vidi moves out of the way before it ever even happens, and it never occurs. And somebody gets the benefit of a setup action, which means if anyone wants to take advantage of that action, either player, Agatha, or Ed, you can get +1 effect or an improved position out of it. So, who wants to do that?
I guess I'll take it.
Sounds good. Okay. And you're like up on the rafters shooting them?
Yes. Yes, I am.
Do you have any special abilities that are relevant to messing people up like that?
Yeah, when I use a long-range weapon, so this system relocation from cover, I can wreck something or someone as though I were chasing them. And I have potency, which I'm not sure what that means.
More effect.
Ah,
yeah.
Okay.
So you're in a control position with great effect, which is good. And then do you have any items that are fine that you can use to get even more effect?
I'm not sure. Oh, my rifle is fine long-range rifle. Exactly. And I also have a fine scope.
Yeah, so you could get extreme effect on this. So controlled, extreme, and so maybe you should just let Ed take advantage of the setup action.
Yeah, that makes more sense.
Yeah, because you're already kind of like maxed out on that. Cool. So a long range shooting generally is tracing as a skill.
Tracing. Is that hunt?
Hunt, yeah, sorry. On the sheet it's hunt.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, so why don't you roll that, and if you push yourself, you can get an additional bonus die, or someone can offer a ripple again.
Okay, so controlled.
I could think of a ripple, which is you shoot the person that you're friends with.
I'll take it.
Oh, snap. Okay, sounds good. Cold-blooded.
I mean, it hurts my heart, but I also gotta make money.
Right. Sounds good. Plus, you didn't even know it was them until like they fall down and their helmet falls off, right?
No. Okay.
Oh, and a 6. There you go. So let me mark some ticks. Wow, that's pretty good. There you go. So you're only 3 ticks away from dealing with everybody. It's almost like you planned this very well. Cool. So you succeed with no complications. Why don't you tell me how it is that you do this? What happens in the fiction? What do we see?
Yeah, I've positioned myself, and I think I like do like little tiny micro stretches because I've been there for a while and my limbs are getting stiff. And then I like look through my scope and I just start picking them off one by one. And it's like it's just kind of routine until I where would I guess I just I guess I just do headshots. That makes sense. Oh gosh. And then I make one headshot. But it's like my arm is just like so stiff. And I do it, and so it hits them. Like it still killed the person, but that's why I did. That's no, Fraser, it's my ex-lover, okay? So I just shoot them, and it hits them in a weird angle where no matter what they die, but it also it loosens their helmet, so when they fall, the helmet falls off, and I'm like I just having a minor freak out on the rafters. And yeah, it's my ex. His name is Eduardo, and he's now dead.
Oh no! Okay, so Eduardo, what do you do? Not much. You're dead. Just kidding. Yeah. So APOC, what do we see? What are you doing?
Right. Sorry to use your name.
Sure. Totally cool.
You could also be. No, I can't think of another one right now.
That was not the first Fraser. It's not Fraser. Fraser's alive, doing well.
And his brother Fraser. It's the next person. Just kidding, guys.
Nice.
No more deaths.
Very nice. Okay. So, APOC, what do you do? What do we see?
Quick meta question. Do you find items stack, or do you just get one benefit out of?
Just one.
One. Okay. So I think this is just sort of like this hand-to-hand, knife, punch ballet combo. I mean, he knifes one guy in the neck and then, pulls that same guy's weapon and whacks another guy in the face with it. I thought I would take advantage of my special ability to conditioning. There it is. You can push yourself to do one of the following: engage a small gang on equal footing in close combat, and hopefully use that to knock out a couple segments of that clock.
Cool. Yeah. And you're using a fine item as well?
Yes.
Cool.
Yes.
So you'll also have extreme effect then, because you went from limited to standard. Oh no, you'd be at great. Sorry, great effect. You initially are at limited because they're 2 tiers ahead of you. Then you use a fine item, and then you pushed yourself. So you're at great.
So is that still controlled?
Yes. Yeah. I haven't been able to put you guys in a risky situation. Everyone's rolling 6s real good.
There you go.
6, of course.
Dang it. Did I use the wrong skill?
Oh, yeah, you use Prowl. But is it the same? Would it have been the same?
Yeah, I've got 3 dots in both.
Yeah, so whatever.
Awesome.
Same thing. So that's the end of them. How do you finish off the rest of the peeps?
Is that a question to me or the group?
You.
It's just sort of that, cinematically, you've seen it like in the Jason Bourne movies. Yeah, just knifing them left, right, swinging around. He rolls and, gets a guy in the chest and then throws that guy at another guy. It's just, yeah, totally competent, totally cool.
Nice. And I like to think that we see this all from like the perspective of the person who was headshot on the ground, as if they're still looking out and up at the scene of what is happening, right? Because they're slowly dying right now. They're still alive. But as the life escapes them, they get to see all of their friends murdered right in front of them because of Agatha. Anyway. Yeah, Eduardo down. Eduardo down. Cool. All right. So last obstacle is the Blackhawk. And I guess we probably get that normal trope happening where you hear the squawking from inside of the helmets, right? Where it's like, report back, what's happening down there? Blah 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 blah, right? With the Black Hawk up above. So what do people want to do about that Black Hawk?
I have an idea there.
Cool.
So I think while they were down there dealing with the team in our like kill death maze, I've worked my way up to the roof of this building where they blew the hole. And I'm firing like a flare up to attract the Blackhawks' attention here to the hole, like they're coming out. And I have one of my playbook items, a diffusion round, that as they come in range and sort of open up the side of the helicopter, I want to fire a diffusion round in there, which highly illegal experimental and banned tech to use on human. Tech devised by the military which rapidly breaks down organic matter and converts it into water.
Nice. Yes, I like that. Okay,
So I
so
want to fire that at the helicopter crew.
sounds good. Okay, so you're in a control position at a helicopter. I think you'd have standard effect because you would have had limited, and then it boosted up the effect. Do you want to push yourself for great effect or another die?
Let's see. Just trying to see if I had any fine weaponry or anything like that, but I don't think I do. Yeah, I will push myself for. I can do it for effect rather than dice.
If you like.
Okay.
And then someone can still help you as well if they want to take one stress to give you an additional die. But I guess not.
No one wants to help me liquefy this helicopter. Fine.
It's so tempting. I'll trauma out, but it's so tempting. That it almost works for the finale of the season, right? Yeah, I'll give you a die. I'm gonna trauma out.
Do you trauma out because of this, or is it maybe because while everyone else was covering their eyes, you did not because you wanted some of that sweet, sweet drug?
I think that's probably. That was in the back of my head the whole time. This is like Beauty's like, if we put all the drugs in this building, like that's totally a legitimate tactic, and nope, it's ulterior motives.
Cool. I like that. So you assist. How do you assist though?
What do you think? What sort of assistance do you need?
I think maybe you grab one of their radios since you're down in the room amongst them because you wanted to be in the full sunlight blast. You manage to grab one of their radios, and before like the visions start to take you, you do manage to blurt out some sort of like command code to call the helicopter back in and make them open up.
Oh, awesome!
Cool. That's
awesome. That. Yeah, it's perfect. Thank you.
Cool. Roll it. Let's see what happens.
Do you think ghost, finesse?
Yeah, I could buy either of them. It would be finesse, probably targeting exact spots or something.
I think finesse to try and get it through the doorway there. You said controlled or risky?
You're still in a control position. And you've got great effect. and an extra die.
That.
6.
I got 6.
Tell me what happens. That fills it up. That's three ticks from a 6.
So yeah, I think this round, it's sort of like a little mini grenade launcher, but it goes up and there's just like a bluish flash inside of the helicopter, and then it's the helicopter's completely fine, it's totally intact, but it starts to veer off course, and like as it spins by and the camera gets a shot inside, like there's just water sort of flowing out the side door there, and there's no sign of any people or anything.
Very good. Cool. And then traumaing out. Do you want to quickly say how you trauma out?
Oh yeah, well, it only makes sense to go with paranoid since Carrion had come after us and Nourish is after us. So VD is just, yeah, maybe it's also a side effect of sunshine if you take it too much. So you just start feeling quite paranoid. I don't know.
Yep, it's like weed that way. It's got a little bit of weed in it.
That's
cool.
the secret.
Yeah, that's the secret. Cool. And then, yeah, that is the end of that. Because that's what happens when you roll 6s. Cool. Let's quickly do rep and score. So 2 rep by default.
Just as a note, that diffusion round at the end did up the heat by 1 for the job.
Yeah. You get 4 rep from this job, 2 for regular, and then 1 per extra tier, which is 2 more.
Nice.
Jewel-wise, I think it's probably just like a small job. You probably just like scavenge the stuff from their corpses and stuff, right? Yeah, so you get 4 jewels as a crew. And heat, what do we think? Smooth and quiet, contained, standard exposure, loud and chaotic, high exposure, or wild, devastating exposure?
I think we at least managed to achieve contained.
Yeah, I think so. Especially like off in some warehouse and stuff like that, right? Yeah, so we'll say contained. So that starts you at a 2. Is it high profile or well connected? Yes, that makes it 3. Add +1 heat if the situation happened on hostile turf. No. +1 heat if you're at war with another faction. Nope. +2 if killing was involved. Yeah. So 5, and then you used a diffusion round, which brings it to 6 heat.
Nope. It's 5 because I have one of my moves is we take -1 heat after a score.
Cool. So there you
So
go.
just 5 heat.
Yeah, just 5 heat. Cool. And there you go. So the next session, whenever that might be, depending on who is even here, we would do downtime dealing with the fallout of your actions and such. But since we only have 9 minutes left, let's move to doing XP instead. Patrick, do you want to start?
Sure. Let's see. We did not make any desperate rolls. Let's see. Addressed a challenge with investigation or technology. I think I definitely had the tech pull in there.
Yep.
Express your beliefs, drives, heritage, or background. I don't know. I think this might sort of tie into his drives, where he's willing to back these increasingly crazy plans and like smooth over for all of VD's obvious mistakes, because she's the one in charge and he's like the new guy in the crew, and so this is putting you in a prime position in the crew, but it's probably not in the crew's best interest because he keeps supporting VD and hiding what she's doing, sort of.
1,000,000%. That was a really neat like relationship we had going on.
And then struggled with issues from your vice root or traumas. I don't think so this time.
Cool. And Lauren?
Awesome. No desperate actions. And I think the next one is addressing a challenge with calculation or conspiracy. I feel like that was the whole our whole heist was pretty calculated and conspiratorial.
Yep.
We got some neat scenes with Lily and stuff as well. That was super cool. Expressed beliefs, drives, heritage, or background. I feel like the drive thing is always like an undercurrent of like motivating Vinny's actions at all times. I think that came out a fair bit on the heist as well, just with her obsessing over Sunshine. And we got some of the tea shop in there as well, and how she approached Lily with like kindness and sweetness, and then viciousness at the same time. And I totally thrown up. So
Yep.
definitely felt issues from my trauma during the session.
Cool. And Ed, who is now dead.
All right, let's see. Did not do any desperate actions. Yeah, 2020 hindsight. Feel like maybe that scene with the contact would have been pretty cool. Didn't think of it at the time. Address the challenge with violence or intimidation. Yeah, I certainly think I did that. Let's see. Expressed beliefs, drives, culture, or background. No, I did not. Not this time. And struggled with issues from vice, root, or traumas during play. Also, I know.
Cool. And Agatha.
Let's see. I don't know what a desperate action is, but I don't feel like I made any.
Yeah. No, everyone was in a controlled position instead of desperate.
Oh, I see.
When you get into non-sixes or failures, that's when your position devolves into risky and desperate situations. But you guys didn't get that. So
Okay. You address the challenge with tracking or diligence. I don't feel like that happened.
I feel like you were describing like your character being up there in a position for hours and like sore muscles and making sure you're in the right place. I would call that under diligence.
Yeah, totally.
yeah, careful and persistent work. Laying on a catwalk shooting people. / your best friend or your lover or your identical hand twin.
I know the bar stuff was pretty careful. Like you carefully didn't get like super drunk or high or whatever, and then like carefully let slip the address for our place and stuff. It was very calculated.
Fair enough. Okay, I'll take it.
Yeah. So the way the XP works, Agatha, is if you feel like it only happened a little bit, then you take 1. If it happened multiple times, you take 2 XP. And when you take that XP, you can put it in any track that you want. So you can put it in Insight, Prowess, Resolve, or your Playbook. And when it's full, then you get another action dot under the thing that you put it on. Or when the Playbook is full, you take another special ability.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. And you express your beliefs, drives, cultures, or background. I don't think so. No. And then you struggle with issues from your vice, root, or traumas during play. I feel like from my root? Wait, what's root again?
No. We didn't... No.
Never mind.
Okay. You don't think that you expressed any beliefs or your drives or your background the entire time?
I think we got lots of that. Like you're all like connected to Carrion and like where you come from and the fact that like you shot your ex-lover and all that stuff. Like we got a lot of that.
Yeah, like you are pretty cold and calculating. You weren't too sad about killing your ex-lover. You're manipulating your former female. I feel like we know a little bit about that.
Yeah, totally.
Oh yeah. Whoops. I kind of skimmed over the background part. Yeah, I think that makes sense.
Yeah, and a drive or a belief, right? Like belief, I kill anybody.
Gotta get that cold hard cash. I mean jewels.
Yeah, run the jewels, run the jewels. Cool. Okay, and then last thing we do is the crew XP. So, did you guys acquire a product, execute a clandestine or covert sale, or secure new territory?
Not really. We sort of cleaned up from last time.
Yeah, yeah. Did you contend with challenges above your current station? Yes.
God, yes.
Did you bolster your crew's reputation or develop a new one? Your reputation is daring, hard, clandestine.
I think so.
Yeah.
One or two. What do people feel?
I feel like we had all three of those, so I'd say 2.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep.
Cool. And what
Is that experience? Oh, sorry. Is that experience for the crew then, or is it still individual?
This is for the crew. The crew levels up as well, and you can take upgrades and special abilities, and then everyone benefits from that stuff.
Wow. Okay.
And last thing, did you express the goals, drives, inner conflict, or essential nature of the crew? What do you think?
I think life under VD's new leadership, I think that was definitely a part of it.
Yeah.
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 I mean, I feel like the drugs were an integral part of that.
Yes.
Where it sort of like it speaks to the essence of the crew. Yeah. Yeah.
And you guys don't know this, but like one of my very first goals was like going in and like killing another crew, and that like went horrifically, and like a lot of people traumatized out and like left the crew because it was just like. So I think this is a nice bookend to like that experience. So like it's sort of that inner conflict from like way back in the day and when we were first starting to like now where it's like, yeah, let's just like fix shit up and who cares about like killing people and stuff. Whereas before we super cared about killing people.
Nice.
Yes, it has come full circle.
Yeah.
So you have an upgrade, just an advancement to spend, but and then you rolled over some as well. But we could always just leave that for the next people that play, maybe like in a couple months when I put up the game again, unless somebody specifically really wants to do an upgrade and might not benefit from it anyway. I don't know. What do people feel like? Do people want to choose a upgrade now, or just wait and leave it to the players that come next, or what?
The only reason why I suggest this one, but there's the addicted one, where your gang members use your product and add savage, unreliable, or wild. And I just feel like that would carry forward the sort of VD storyline, even if like Lauren's not in the next play test or whatever.
Yeah, that would be cool. Sure, let's do that. Is everybody cool with that?
Yeah, that sounds good to me.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, addicted. Every time I hear that, I always think of that song in high school with I can't remember the name of the band, but it's like, I'm addicted to you. That song, you know?
Yeah.
That Simple Plan, I think. But anyway. Yeah, so there you go. Addicted. Complete. Done. Advancement spent. All good. Cool. Okay. I'm gonna stop the bro.